Hi guys and welcome to Horologique. Today it's getting serious because we are going to be reviewing the Pagani 1676, which is a homage to the most famous watch in the world, the Rolex Daytona Paul Newman. And if you don't believe me, just know that the Daytona Paul Newman went out for auction in 2017 for $17.8 million. That was record-breaking, and that record stands still today. At $100, what can the little Pagani Design 1676 do? Is it a worthy homage, or is it a shame to the memory of Mr. Newman? Let's find out right away. Of course, I will leave links in the description below, so you can go and check this watch directly on AliExpress. And if you like the content here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, which does help a lot, guys. Let's talk very briefly about the legend that is Rolex Daytona 6241. That Rolex came out in 1966, and at the time Rolex couldn't give them away. But as decades passed and it was famously worn by the famous actor, the watch gained in popularity, and now it is trading in the hundreds of thousands. The cheapest ones that I have found in Chrono24 are around the $200,000 to $300,000 mark. So we can safely say that this is an unobtainable watch for 99.9% of us collectors. So what do we have left? Well, you can always go and try for a modern Daytona, which at around $13,000 is much more obtainable, but good luck trying to get it. In the off chance that you have a wonderful relationship with your dealer, you still won't get the vintage look. And this is what this Pagani design is all about. Let's start by the dial, and this is one of the main aspects of the watch. Contrary to the famous Rolex, this dial is stark white. It has a tri-compact slayer with the 24-hour dial at the 3 o'clock, the second dial at the 6 o'clock, and the chronograph elapsed minutes at the 9. If you look closely, these subdials do have little hammers as graduations that the original have, and they are all adorned by a relief made of concentric circles. A very fine detail that, and on macro you can see that it is very well done. The Pagani Design branding and logo are on the upper part of the dial, and right underneath the branding is printed the word chronograph. I am pretty glad that Pagani Design didn't put any more lettering on this dial because it is already pretty cluttered as it is. Surrounding that white dial is the second track, which is a black ring with the second markings painted in red. This is a beautiful effect, and it is in keeping with the original Rolex vintage model. On that track, every 5 seconds are marked by applied indices, and at the lower part of those indices are the lume pips. If we go into macro, you can see that those lume pips are so applied, but I will not hold that against Pagani Design because this is supposed to be a vintage model. And I am also glad because they have used the old radium patina, which makes it look older in keeping with that vintage aesthetic. If you check those hands, they are baton hands, pretty simple, bisected in two, and they hold a decent amount of lume. Speaking of lume, let's take a look at the lume shot, and as you can see, it's nothing extraordinary, but it is pretty honorable for a Pagani design. And let's face it, we were not expecting miracles here, especially because the lume is very scarcely applied, which is not a bad thing with this watch. This is not a diver after all. Protecting that beautiful dial is a box dome sapphire crystal. Around the dial and crystal you have the tachymeter scale, which is in black ceramic, and all the tachymeter markings are painted in white. You might have noticed that the seconds are ticking like in a quartz watch, but the chronograph hand ticks like an automatic watch, and that is because we have a hybrid movement here, the Seiko VK63, which is a mecha quartz. The timekeeping is ensured by a quartz module, but the chronograph is totally mechanic. The chronograph pushers are however threaded, which was not the case on the Paul Newman Daytona. So I do not know why Pagani Design went to the complication of doing this. Maybe they were going for another model, but I am not certain of that. If you know, please do let me know in the comments below. I am not an expert of vintage Daytonas. And there's something weird with those pushers. and it's the fact that you've got some knurling in them. At first I thought it was threading to thread the crowns, and I said to myself that it's very clumsy to show it like that, but then looking at it closely I realized that it is actually there for decoration. So I don't know why they did that. I really thought it would have looked better without those threaded crowns and without those creases. Speaking of crowns, let's talk about the main crown. It is signed Pagani Design, and it is of course screw down as well. It even has a rubber gasket on it, which ensures that this watch is 100-meter water resistant, so plenty good enough for swimming. Let's talk about dimensions. This watch is 39.4 millimeters in diameter by 13 millimeters in height by 47.2 millimeters in lug to lug by 51.8 in end link to end link, and the bracelet tapers from 20 where it meets the case to 15.5 where it meets the clasp. And at the clasp it comes up to 18 millimeters. That is a good set of dimensions, and even though you have male end links here and almost 52 millimeters of end link to end link, this watch wears very well on medium-sized wrists. On top of the lugs you've got vertical brushing, and on the sides of the watch you've got polishing. The polishing is pretty good, nothing exceptional, but nothing to be ashamed of at this price point. The bracelet has so-so tolerances, once again normal for the price point, but the brushing is well done on the outer links and the middle link is pretty well polished. The clasp is signed Pagani Design. It has a double security opening and it opens to solid elements. The bracelet links are solid, and of course so are the end links. They are held together by screws. That clasp doesn't make it easy to size the watch to your wrist size. I didn't see anywhere where you could put a tool, so you're stuck with sizing it via the links. So if you're unlucky enough that it doesn't give you good sizing, well, that's too bad, it will not fit you good. On the back of the watch you have got a checkered flag, and right in the middle you've got a sports car, harking back to the racing credential of the original Daytona. Let's sum up the positives and the negatives of this watch. On the positive side, the aesthetic. This watch, even though of course the idea comes from Rolex originally, here's where the homage has all its sense. When brands homage watches that have been long out of production, then it is really an actual homage. It is very tastefully done. It is pretty well constructed and executed for a watch at this price point. As usual with Pagani Design, you get a lot for not a lot of money. It's always hard to talk price on AliExpress because things fluctuate so much, and sometimes some people get coupons which others don't, and you always have sales here and there. But as of today, last I checked, this watch was around $90 mark without taxes, which is not bad at all for what you're getting. You're getting a boxed dome sapphire crystal, you're getting a pretty well constructed watch, which is aesthetically very, very beautiful. You're getting a trusted and reliable Japanese Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz, and you're getting that for under $100. Once again, Pagani Design, the kings of the bang per buck. However, the things I did not like about this watch. First, the threaded pushers, which were not really useful on this model. The so-so tolerances of the bracelet, which contrast with the very well built head of the watch, and the sizing of the watch, made difficult by those very hard to use adjustments on the clasp. I also think the loom could have been slightly better, and that Pagani Design should really focus on looming those hands better. Once again, they have managed to loom the indices better than the hands when they should do the other way around, or even better, they should light them both very well. But other than that, this looks like a very good proposition from Pagani Design. Tell me what you think. Are those bad points enough to make you wait for a V2 or to say, not at all, I will not go to that watch? Or does this version already convinces you as it is? I will leave you with other videos of other chronographs that I have reviewed on the channel. I hope to see you here very soon. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.